So there's guys out there who procrastinate all the time. They do end up, working and coding, but they leave it till the end of the day. And every single day, when the end of the day comes, they're disappointed because they didn't quite study as much as they wanted to or with as much focus as they wanted to. And this cycle repeats from them all the time. Whereas there's other guys out there who focus. They don't need to study for 8 hours because they can absorb the information in 2 to 4 hours. They work hard and they get paid. I want to talk about what I think is the difference here. I was like the former guy for a long time. And in this video, I'm going to basically be giving all the information that I wish someone had told me when I was in that position. I truly believe that if you apply all the information I'm telling you, you're going to be well on your way to a high paying coding job. Without further ado, let's dive into it. I remember clearly before I even started coding, I started a YouTube channel, and that was a YouTube channel related to fitness. And I was like super sporadic with my effort on it. I was like on my phone, oh, okay, I gotta make some posts today, blah, blah, blah. And like maybe I'd spend like an hour a day posting or focusing on my social media account, right? And I was trying to like make it as a YouTuber or as a social media personality back in that day with this half-ass effort, right? And I would I kept up with it for like a few months and then I let it go. And this was a constant pattern in my life where I had shiny object syndrome, where I see something exciting, oh, I'm gonna make money doing this, and then I'd stick with it for a few weeks, maybe a month, and let it go, right? Now let's talk about my background for a second. My background is that I failed multiple high school courses. I didn't even graduate high school on time. I failed a college course. I was a super average college student, right? And at that time, I had a terrible attention span, and for the most part, I would trend towards like the easy dopamine activity, so to speak. So this is like I was scrolling on my smartphone all day, playing video games, like going jerking off or something, right? Like this was my life, right? And at that time, I also absolutely hated my job. I was commuting an hour and 30 minutes to a customer service role where I was just getting yelled at by customers. I was getting paid a little above minimum wage. And then I was commuting an hour and 30 minutes back. And that job, how much I hated it, is what motivated me to start learning to code because like I don't want to deal with this anymore, right? I want a nice remote job with good work-life balance that pays me well. That was my motivation. Now, I'm going to talk about the one thing. This, I truly believe if you just apply this, the other things I'm going to talk about in this video are things I learned later, actually after I got my coding job. But this concept that I'm about to talk about now, I truly believe if you just apply this, this alone can take you from wherever you are right now to a six-figure role, high-paying coding role. At least that's what it did for me. Like this truly was the thing that changed everything for me, right? And that was having a focus. There's this great book called The One Thing, which talks about this. I'm going to try to summarize it very, very briefly. But what the author says is think about your life, right? Think about what it is you're trying to achieve, and then think about what is the one thing, the one big domino that I can knock down, such that if I knock it down, all these other concerns in my life either become much smaller or non-existent, right? So for me, I sat and I thought about that for a second. And I was like, okay, if I get a high-paying coding job, all these other concerns I'm worried about, like bad work-life balance, the commute time, and needing money to support my family, all these things. If I knock down this big domino, it will just knock down all these other dominoes. So now I focused and I had a consistent, like every single day I showed up to code. Every single day. This was my one thing. Even if I did nothing else productive all day, I had to make sure this was done, that I put in my time and effort towards coding. Right. And part of the issue here is these people in the self-improvement space and otherwise would say, oh, I do it all, bro. I do my work and then I do 20 marathons and then I hike a mountain. Like, no, take that thought, throw it out the window. We don't listen to those people. These people are putting an unrealistic standard on us. And frankly, you don't need that much effort to achieve the goal you're trying to achieve. And also having this idea of you need to do these 20 different things when you're in a similar position to the old me, right? Where it's like you have trouble just sticking with one thing. So let's knock out the one big domino first. That's going to completely change our life. And then in the future, if you want to do those things, no problem. Or even right now, if you want to do those things, no problem, right? But the point is those things should not take precedence over your one thing. Make sure your one big domino is knocked down and then, hey, spend the rest of the day how you'd like. Now, the next thing I remember is when I was coding, so I'm at my home office, coding away, studying, and I was using the Pomodoro technique at that time, which was that you basically work for 20, 25 minutes and you take a 5 minute break. So I'm coding away. Oh, okay, it's time for a break. Grab my smartphone. Okay, 5 minute break turns into a 10 minute break, turns into a 20 minute break, and then I finally get back to work, right? Now, there's a few issues here. A, obviously, my breaks were much longer than they were supposed to be because I get distracted so easily. But another issue was when I was using this technique, it felt like all the content I was taking, it was just in one ear, out the other. I'm reading my textbook. I'm like, what is all this technical jargon? And it's like, I just want to bang my head against the wall because it's like none of this makes sense, right? This leads me to the second point, which is the concept of deep work. There's a great book by Cal Newport on this. I'm going to again try to very, very briefly summarize it. But basically, instead of these Pomodoro techniques or spending all day studying while being half distracted by your phone, set aside focused work hours, right? So some of the research, one of the research articles in the book, they found that if you were distracted, say you're working away and you're distracted by like a text message on your phone, they found that to build your attention back, it takes about 20 minutes to get your attention just back to the place where it was before you checked your smartphone. So now imagine what your attention span is like if you're reaching out for your smartphone every 20 minutes while you're working, while you're studying, right? It barely has a chance to like build up. So second concept is deep work. If you set aside focused 2 to 4 hour time blocks where you close your home office door, close your room door, you put your phone to the side, tell other people, hey, don't disturb me, you bring your water, snacks, whatever you need, and you're here, you're focused on just one thing, right? I believe you'll be able to make a lot of progress. Now, part of the issue here is those people who say, oh, I need my social media breaks, LOL. I got to check my phone every 20 minutes. Can't do without it. Like, no, take that thought out the window. We don't listen to those people. These people are, again, giving us a train of thought that's not going to serve us, right? A lot of people, if you read the book Deep Work, you read the research in it, and also look at the reviews on it, there's a lot of people that utilize this and they found great benefit. They found it helps them absorb information easier, and I found the same thing. So let's take this constantly distracted thought, put it to the side, like, no, we're not going to follow that train of thought. We're going to follow what works. So try it out. I think you'll be very pleased with the results. Now, the next thing I remember is when I was learning to code, I was leaving it till the end of the day. So say I needed to code for 8 hours, right? And again, you don't need to. I think with deep work, 2 to 4 hours is enough. But back then I wasn't doing deep work, right? So I would spend about anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day coding and doing my computer science work. So again, I wake up, go out of bed. I'm like, okay, I gotta, study for 8 hours today or 6 hours today. Okay, so I woke up. It's 9 a.m. If I start so I would like try to delay it as much as possible. Okay, if I start at 5, then I could still study for 6 hours and still be, in bed at the right time. So I would try to put it as near to the end of the day as possible, so I could spend the start of the day like BSing, playing video games. Again, it's just wasting my time, right? The point I'm making here is this is another thing that I've learned now, and the author of The One Thing also talks about this. It's that willpower is like a battery, right? It's full at the start of the day and it drains little by little by little by little, right? So if you take your hard to do things and you move them to the front, or rather as close to the start of the day as you can, you'll find that two things, right? A, you're going to be doing them a lot more consistently because you're knocking them out right away. So you're not going to have this issue, which I definitely had, where the end of the day would come and I wouldn't have studied as much as I wanted to, or in some cases, I wouldn't have studied at all. And B, you'll find you have a lot more energy at that point, and you're able to have better focus and really knock that task out of the park. So that's the final thing that I've learned, which is willpower is like a battery, and applying this concept in my life has helped me a lot in achieving better work results. Now, I just want to end this video off by saying, hey, be kind to yourself throughout this process. This is not an easy journey, right? And I don't mean to make it seem like it is. It's a very worthwhile journey, but it's not an easy journey. And growth tends to be exponential, right? I know there's people on YouTube who say, oh, I coded for 3 months and now I make $500,000. But it's like, realistically, like we can take a look at my journey, for example. It took me about 2 years from the time I started coding to getting my 6-figure role. And in between that time, the most I made was a little above minimum wage at like an internship, right? And my growth is not necessarily uncommon. This is what a lot of people see, where it's like, okay, they start coding, whether boot camp or a computer science degree, whatever it may be. They start coding. Okay, maybe they get a job initially and it pays just above to kind of keep food on the table. And then they keep working, keep working, keep working, and then they get that high paying opportunity that they were looking for. Right. So throughout this time where growth is not quite happening the way, whether you want it money wise or otherwise, it can be very discouraging. Right. But keep the faith, trust the process, and keep working hard. Right. And I was so harsh on myself as well when I was doing this coding thing. Like when I had my internship, for example, and I didn't quite do an assignment up to par of up to expectations, or I didn't do a school assignment up to expectations. I'd be like cussing at myself, like, man, you're so stupid, you can't even do this, like, and being so negative to myself and being so critical of myself. So truly be kind to yourself throughout this process. You're focusing, you're working hard, you're on the right path. Be kind to yourself and trust the process. And now I just want you to imagine for a second. Imagine you take this advice, you run with it, and now you have a remote job with good work-life balance that actually pays you well, right? Now you have the money to like go out on dates, go out with friends, because I didn't even have money for that. I had to like borrow that from my parents, right? You have money to go out on dates, go out with friends, travel if you want to, and you also have money to support your family. And you also have money to go out and buy nice things that you always wanted. Like I always wanted a new car, and I had the opportunity to get that. Imagine that, right? And that's the path you're on right now. Hey, keep working hard. I believe in you, but what I believe doesn't matter. Frankly, what you believe matters. So I hope you believe in yourself too. And that's all I got for this video. Hey, thank you so much for watching. Ultimately, I want this to be our positive little community where we help each other, support each other, and help each other get to the next level in life. So please come join the community. I'll leave my Instagram, TikTok somewhere here. Please do support there as well. Please do like, comment, subscribe. I'll talk to you later. Peace.